All right, so welcome back, everyone. So this is Engineering Week in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's being observed by the Association of Professional Engineers of Trinidad and Tobago. We do have in studio this morning Dr. Trevor Townsend, the president of the association, and also Ezekiel York, the public relations officer of APETT. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Of course.
Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes. Dr. Townsend, let's get right into the discussion concerning Engineering Week. Before we get into the activities of the week, why is this so important, you think, to observe Engineering Week in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, certainly. And first, let me explain that for some members of the public might not know, APETT,
yes,
that is the Association of Professional Engineers of Trinidad and Tobago, is a learned society, a professional organization. And some of our objectives are to ensure that the engineering profession is properly practiced, that engineers continue to develop themselves, and that their usefulness to society is continued to be increased. Engineering Week allows us an opportunity to bring that to the fore. And we have a number of, we just came out of a fantastic honors and awards ceremony where we honored some of our outstanding engineers. We had a career of excellence. Dr. Ray Fulong was our career of excellence. Interestingly enough, he was given the award by Professor Clem Imbert, who is our ORTT, who was the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago for last year, and he's an esteemed member of our association as well. And there were many others who so awarded. It was in the Express yesterday. But Engineering Week, therefore, allows us to showcase that. We have a number of lectures at schools. We have webinars on issues such as ethics, because we believe that ethics in engineering is very important. We have a fun day coming up as well for our members. And we really want to use this opportunity to tell engineers, come out and show yourselves. You see, we are in our APETT polos.
Yes.
So you ask them to all wear their polos. You might see some engineers, instead of in their normal outfits, they be wearing their polos this week, because that's all part of celebrating. Engineering is a fundamental element in the building of society. Almost everything we use and do is because of engineering. And locally, engineers do a lot of work in design, maintenance, and management, and we want to highlight that.
Yeah. Ezekiel, let's talk about some of the activities of Engineering Week.
Sure. So we kick things off by releasing the first Engineering Legacy Icon series video that was on Professor Maxwell Richards. Now, this is the Engineering Icon series is a legacy project that we have approximately 60 professional engineers of the past and of the present, and we want to highlight their contributions from the past and what they are also currently contributing to currently. So we kick that off by premiering the publication of our first legacy video on Sunday on our APETT YouTube channel, so everyone can always check that out on YouTube. That was on Sunday. So starting tomorrow, we're also going to be doing a number of different activities, including school visits, like Dr. Townsend had talked about. And these things are centered around encouraging the presence of STEM, the impact of STEM. Some students may be a little unaware, or sometimes they may have to wait until they visit the universities, and some of them may not have that opportunity to visit those universities. So we are bringing that to them in terms of a number of different things, such as the applications, not just in the industrial applications, but also in entrepreneurship. Because when it comes to engineering, sometimes the dominant thought process is, okay, all I can be is an employer or an employee. But we want to educate them on the possibilities of utilizing engineering, and particularly, especially when they graduate from the university or even before, that they can utilize engineering principles and what exists out there to make something of their own, especially with the job market, et cetera, locally, and that's happening currently. We want to put that in their hands. So we are bringing those things to them, and of course, in addition, on Saturday, that's a social activity. Now, that social activity is very important, because when it comes to engineering, sometimes engineers can be a bit introverted, right? And
Dr. Townsend.
Not these two.
Not these two. That's why they have sent you all here this morning.
Yes,
right?
that's exactly why. Yeah. And that is important, because when it comes to networking and pulling all engineers together, that is where that power really lies, that potential to build the impact of engineering locally. So that on Saturday is happening at the TTGPA, that's located at Hazley Crawford Stadium. And we are welcoming all engineers. You don't have to be a member of APETT, right? Just come and be part of the social activity. We're going to be having very fun games, very fun social activities. And just to retract on that, we're also going to be having a number of different seminars, like Dr. Townsend had mentioned, on Wednesday, Thursday. On Wednesday, we're going to be having a seminar by Professor Winston Sweet. That's going to be on ethics, and also we're going to be having one that's hosted by the Tobago chapter as well on Thursday. So look out for all those things.
Yeah. Dr. Townsend, how have we in Trinidad and Tobago, when I say we, how have engineers done over the years from time immemorial in Trinidad and Tobago? And let's speak about their professionalism, what they would have contributed to society, and what they would have contributed to the infrastructure of Trinidad and Tobago. How well have they done in that respect?
We have a long and very proud history of contribution to society. For instance, our HNA Awards were our 63rd award. We have been an organization since 1959. The engineers locally were the ones who really developed the engineering faculties at both UWI and UTT to train other engineers. Our petroleum industry has been developed and managed by local engineers. Our gas industries have been developed. Our structural areas, our structures, our roads, all those are areas where engineers have been developing and working. Our facilities for water development and water and sewage treatment, again engineering, or electricity. And we have a very robust electricity system. Again, local engineers have been at the heart of that. So that engineers have really played a very important role in not only design, but the upkeep and upgrade of the very infrastructure and services that we take for granted in this country. And this is one of the things that APETT does as a way, because when you graduate with an engineering degree, you're not yet an engineer, you're a graduate engineer. But you have to, because you've got a toolbox, as it says, in terms of what it takes to design, and you understand the sort of first principle issues. But then we have to mentor, develop, in terms of practical experience and real-world experience, to bring the practicality, the cost issues, the politics, the societal issues. And APETT is a key part in creating that crucible for young engineers. And we have a good example here, because Mr. York actually was one of our awardees for young engineer last year for the work that he has been doing, for young engineers to be able to network, to learn from their peers and to grow. So engineering and the continuing development of engineers is critical for our society. We cannot grow as a society by just trying to import expertise. Not at all. We need to have expertise which is developed locally, which understands how to function within the society and can therefore bring to the fore solutions that are specific and required for this society.
Yeah, and Dr. Townsend said something a short while ago that took me by surprise. There's politics in engineering, but we leave that for another discussion, right, Dr. Townsend? But Ezekiel, how do we light this fire among the youth population or in the youth when it comes to engineering? Because you mentioned earlier that you all plan to visit certain schools this week for Engineering Week. But how do you light that fire in that young person to say, hey, I want to do engineering? And as Dr. Townsend would have said earlier, there are many facets of engineering, right?
Yes. And that's one of the things that he had mentioned when it comes to mentorship.
Yes.
Because specifically when it comes to direction, when it comes to knowing where to go, what to do, what is the next step, that is something that is always prevalent, always present in the young minds. Even before you start university, you still wonder, okay, what is the next step if I don't make the A-levels or et cetera, what can I do, what else can I do? And we are taking what we have learned from the minds who are very versed in their fields, and bringing that to the secondary schools. In case they have any questions, or even if they don't know the questions to ask, we're going to tell them, okay, these are the reasons why it's exciting. These are some of the emerging things that we're doing. Because, for example, we've done things such as in the industry, oil and gas, the energy sector, but there's also things like 3D printing. That is something that's also being done by manufacturing engineers in the manufacturing, mechanical, civil, electrical fields. And that is something that is very new, very exciting, because it excites the creativity in the minds of especially young people, right? So those and many, many different things are what we're actually going to be doing, and what we're going to be presenting to them to know, hey, these are some of the possible fields that you can actually get into, that you can make something of your own. Because, for example, 3D printing, just as one of the many examples, and AI, artificial intelligence, that is something that is very, very, prevalent. It's becoming more current and applicable in the world today. But how can we bring that to young people locally, instead of having to wait 5 years and 10 years for that for that to be, done here?
Yeah.
So that is why we want to excite them, so that they can also be at the forefront of that.
But Dr. Townsend, I get the impression that the engineering field is a very wide one, full of opportunities.
It is indeed. And just to touch a little bit in terms of what Ezekiel was saying, we actually collaborate with other organizations.
Yes.
So that the legacy project, in terms of the video he talked about, is a collaboration we've had with NEHUST. In fact, we've had a very useful collaboration with NEHUST, and we have a planned mentorship program that we want to roll out. We're still developing it, but we want to roll it out from secondary school all the way through to past graduation, a program with NEHUST. It is a wide field. APETT, for instance, has 4 divisions: civil, electrical, chemical, mechanical, and then, 4 divisions, and then you have a Tobago chapter. But even within civil, you have structural engineers, you have transportation engineers, in electrical you have computer engineers. And so we can, in fact, subspecialize and widen it. And so therefore, depending on what your interest is,
yes,
you could do a biomedical engineering program, for instance, as a postgraduate work and that kind of stuff. So that there's a lot of things happening. And there's a lot of research happening locally, not only at the university level, but there's research and innovation happening in industry. And that's one of the reasons why we also taking the opportunity this week to launch and publicize that we are going to be having a technical conference in May of this year in partnership with UWI and UTT. And at that conference, we'll be showcasing the work that's been done in the engineering field, both in academia, in research, as well as practical good engineering projects that have tremendous learning experiences for everybody. Right? So that is going to take place in May. May the 14th and 15th at the Hyatt. You're going to hear more about it. It's again available on our website.
Yes. And
we have already approved over 30 papers to be presented, so that people say, 30 papers of research in Trinidad and Tobago on engineering? Yeah. Yes, in fact, we have 50 abstracts that we're going through.
Yeah.
All right, and so that it's a very wide field. Anybody who has an interest in making things happen and putting together materials, techniques, and learning how to create those things can have an interest in engineering.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I have 2 minutes. I'm going to give Ezekiel 1 minute, and Dr. Townsend, he's going to give us the final word. Ezekiel, anything else you'd like to add as we discuss Energy Week?
Sure. So for Engineering Week, we invite all engineers, anyone who is interested in engineering, to come and participate. We've talked about all of the activities that we've done thus far, but that doesn't have to end there, because it's just 1 week. When it comes to engineering, one of the main things, one of the gaps is that, one of the things that they criticize us on is that we aren't out there as much. So we want to encourage all engineers, all emerging engineers, to join us in that network to create and increase the prevalence of engineering.
Yeah. Dr. Townsend, it has been an education for all of us this morning, including myself, because, sometimes when we think about engineering, all we're thinking about bridges and buildings, right? But you have so many parts of this thing,
Indeed. It's a very diverse field. It's a field that you can find your interest in it. it is science-based.
Yes.
So that if you do have an interest in science and an application of science-based, then engineering is a place for you. And if you're interested in engineering, then APETT is the organization that you can come to for understanding of what is to be done,
yes,
and how we can assist you.
Yeah. And we have put up a number there and an email address, so anyone interested, they can get additional information via these two means here.
Indeed.
Yeah?
Yes.
Dr. Townsend and Ezekiel, it was a pleasure speaking with you this morning. Yeah?
Thank
As
you
I
for
said,
having
thank
us.
you.
It was an education.
Thank you for
Yeah?
having us.
Thank you again.
Okay.
And we wish you all the best for Energy Week. Engineering Week. Engineering Week.
Well,
I'm
energy is
sure.
part of
Yeah. You see, Dr. Townsend helped me there. Yeah. So it's time for another break. We're coming back.
My love is real. Nothing else could ever come between.